I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome to, I guess, the inaugural episode of, I guess, this little project I'm calling a YouTube channel. I don't know necessarily how it's going to go, but hey, just let's go ahead and get started. So this is the first introductory episode. So I got to learn to look at the camera too. This is the first introductory episode, and it's going to be pretty raw at first because I figure I just, like a lot of things in life, just start and figure it out as I go. So I don't have any fancy graphics, no motion capture, no expansive green screen. So this is just pretty much that the focus should just be on what I wanted to talk about and kind of why you should care. So I guess a little bit of background first. My name is Kofi Bernie. My friends, most of them call me KB. Honestly, you can call me whatever you like, as long as it's not Mr. Bernie, because that's my dad. That's reserved for my dad. So my background, I've been doing mostly space stuff. I've been in the space industry since forever. I have a background in finance and economics. So I have an MBA from a school that's in the Houston area. And I also have a master's in computer engineering. And so I've been doing like investments and economics and things like that for a long time. It's been something I've been passionate about, and it's something I really wanted to talk to folks about. On the stock side, let's see, I've been investing, oh my goodness, almost since I got out of college. I started with buying Apple stock when it was around $50. And a bunch of us out of school, we started this investment club called Scholars Making Dollars. Yeah, I know it's corny, but it was a bunch of my frat brothers at the time. We had just gotten out of school, and we really wanted to like increase our wealth. So part of our goal was to buy a bunch of Apple stock. I think at the time, probably never heard of it. There was a company called Compaq. And so we bought Apple and we bought Compaq computers. And the investment club didn't last that long. We were kind of we had differing priorities, let's just say it that way. So we ended up going our separate ways. And I just kept investing in Apple. I kind of believed in it. I love Apple products. And I know it's been very good from an investment standpoint since. So, from a stock standpoint, I've just been doing that. I've bought some other stocks through the years, Nvidia, Facebook, Amazon, and they've all done pretty well. But Apple was probably my first kind of really big stock that I really invested in. But it's mostly most of my stocks have been in technology and tech, because that's the area I know well. There's a Peter Lynch, who's a pretty famous investor. He used to say, buy what you know, invest in what you know. So if you know in tech, buy tech. If you know financials, buy financials. If you know cooking, invest in cooking stocks or something like that. So that's pretty much what I've tried to do, and I feel like I've been moderately successful there. Over the last, I guess, 3, 4, 5 years, I've started to get a little bit more into crypto like everybody else and their mama now. But I got in when Bitcoin jumped to like 13,000. So I bought a bunch of Bitcoin, and then it crashed to 3,000. So imagine looking at your account, you bought a bunch at 13,000 and it drops like 90%. But I believed in the technology. So I just kept what they call dollar cost averaging. So every time I got paid from my job, I would just buy like, $50, $100, whatever. I didn't put a lot in. Honestly, it was kind of like a meal, kind of that equal to like going out on a restaurant or something like that. So I just kept buying, and then I started buying Ethereum as well, and that ended up doing pretty well as well. Years later, though, I kind of actually even stopped looking at my balance because it was kind of depressing. But I kept doing it, and it's turned out pretty well. And then I also started doing some angel investing. So through well, one of the universities I attended, they have this business plan competition, and it allows students from all over the country. I mean, these are some pretty big schools like MIT, University of Michigan, um, Prairie View, which is where I got my undergrad from. A lot of these schools come in with different ideas they want to start companies with, right? So they're like, hey, they have all the time, right? They don't have kids, they don't have a bunch of debt. They can just come in and say, hey, I want to go start a company. I want to go change the world, right? And all they need is like capital. They need somebody to like give them some money so that they can go out and change the world. That's how Facebook got started. Facebook was started through a startup. Apple, the famous story with Apple being started. HP was started in somebody's garage. So all these companies are usually started with somebody investing in them. An angel investor is somebody who doesn't have millions, but has some level of resources where they can invest in folks. So I've invested in 4 companies. My target area is probably more people of color. I really like minority, women-owned businesses. That's kind of what speaks to me. I don't feel like minority and people of color or women-owned businesses get enough opportunities. So for me, it's a lot about trying to invest in those folks to give them, hopefully they can create the next Facebook and the next Apple. So that's really my passion. So I've invested in 4 companies. Haven't necessarily had an exit. So an exit is when that company is self-sufficient enough that either somebody comes and buys them out. So in some cases, somebody will say, hey, you know, you're doing well enough that we want to buy you. And so they'll give X number of dollars. And then all the folks who've invested, they get paid out. And usually that's around 3 or 4 or 5 extra money. So if you put, let's say 10,000 in and somebody comes by, you can usually exit with like 30, 40,000. Of course, that's over years. It's not usually doesn't happen in 1 year. Usually it happens 3, 5, even 10 years later. Or you're able to go public. You're able to go onto the stock exchange, NASDAQ, or the NYSE. So yeah, so that's my investment background. Like I said, been in space technology for a minute, and that's really kind of what my passion is. Just really doing those types of things. So on the tech side, I've been a tech geek since forever. Going way, way, way back in the space time machine. I really enjoy that piece. Probably have every gadget, at least every Apple gadget known to man from that standpoint. So I've definitely invested in I've definitely bought the tech that I invested in. So that's been pretty much my passion. When I was growing up, actually, I was a big Nintendo video gamer. Probably dating myself here, but played a lot of Metroid, Zelda. There was this one game we used to play a lot that I love, was called Tecmo Bowl. Folks probably don't remember it too much, but it was this football game, and it only had like 7 characters on there, right? It wasn't a lot of, it was pretty much just dot pixels. It didn't have, like, if you're a big Madden fan, and I'm a huge Madden fan, and rest in peace to John Madden. If you're a big Madden fan, the graphics were nowhere close to this, nowhere close to Madden, but it was probably the most playable, enjoyable video game. You could drop back like 30 yards and throw a 90-yard, literally throw a 90-yard touchdown pass. The guy would catch it. Or you could give it to one of the running backs and then he would run for 90 yards. It was crazy, but it was like one of the best video games from that standpoint. So yeah, those were the games that I really kind of cut my teeth in. And I've just been a gamer ever since. Final Fantasy was one, StarCraft, still play a little bit when I get time. So yeah, so my focus now is really just, continuing some of that and continuing to maybe talk and discuss that with folks. So then we come to like the number one question, right? Why start a YouTube channel? There's plenty of YouTube channels out there. There's probably billions of them. So why me? Why now? Why should you even care about some guy just sitting in the room talking about stuff, right? I really think it comes down to, you know, making sure that there's a diverse set of thoughts out there and kind of everyone's represented. And I don't necessarily see that when I take a look at what's out there. So I thought, hey, let's see what happens. And plus, I like to talk, so I feel like if I could talk about stuff I'm passionate about and really enjoy, maybe that might um, convey some things. And I know my father was a principal, a high school principal, and he also liked to talk. So I think I got it from him. So, part of this is just a passion that I have and conveying that passion and communicating to folks. And hopefully, if you enjoy it, then maybe folks will stay. And if not, then it was nice to thank you for giving me the time of day, I guess. So I've just kind of thinking through like some of the things I really want to talk about in this channel that kind of really speak to me. And, some of the areas I'm thinking through is kind of like, what about the metaverse? I don't know if folks have heard. I know Facebook has been putting a lot of energy and effort into kind of what's the next version of the internet looks like. If you're around at the beginning, it was the MySpaces and Facebooks, and then it became more kind of the YouTube, Instagram, kind of Facebook. So what does the third version look like? And they're calling it the metaverse, which is a bit of a marketing tool, but still, that's kind of what the next version looks like, where you have VR. Maybe you have a digital twin where you're just represented digitally in this kind of made up world. They're even selling like virtual land for millions of dollars, which seems crazy to me, but somebody's money's coming from somewhere, right? So somebody's paying something for it. So I think, just kind of talking through that, how realistic is it? Should folks be looking at trying to buy some land, almost like the gold pioneers in the 1800s when they went out to California to try to strike gold early, right? They said folks, start looking at that. So that's one topic. I want to talk about, kind of risk and reward. Like, when you start to invest, a lot of it is kind of what's your risk temperament? Can you invest $100,000 into something, and if it goes down 50%, do you lose sleep over it? Because a lot of folks, they have upset stomach. They can't sleep if their stock investment goes down 50%. They'll sit there having a heart attack. Other folks will sleep like a baby. They're not even worried about it. So a lot of that risk is personal to folks. Kind of talking through that and what that looks like, because that matters, right? You don't want to. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're sick and can't spend it, then it doesn't do any good. Also, like how to grow your wealth. Like, what's the path? Like, if I could help folks, like, what would I do to grow $1 million in a year? That's kind of what I was thinking through. Like, if I could tell somebody, hey, this is how you grow $1 million in a year. Not to say I would do it, but what would be some ideas to be able to do something like that? I think that would be kind of cool. And then again, kind of the latest tech ideas. I think in general is kind of I'm passionate about. So that's it. It's going to be kind of a walk, and then maybe run in a second, or maybe run and walk. Either way, we're going to see kind of where this goes. But I think at the center of it's going to be a passion for what I'm talking about, but also just having fun, right? Just kind of hopefully getting a chance for folks to interact, kind of figuring out how that kind of goes. So yeah, that's my channel. That's what I'm thinking through. So leave some comments in the comment section below if y'all got something you want to say, or if there's some feedback, or tell me to go back home and don't leave my day job, which is fine too. So that's it for me.